When Bad Bunny headlined the Super Bowl halftime show, MAGA got so pressed that they made their own halftime spite show, and it totally flopped. I live in Louisiana, so I see culture and politics up close, and I see patterns that others in the national media miss, especially how MAGA's insecurity turns into meltdowns and political opportunities for the left. This is Pragmotiv News, and I'm Kameron. Their meltdown didn't start on the Super Bowl Sunday. It started in September, the moment Bad Bunny was announced as the halftime headliner. From the jump, MAGA World treated it like an insult, not because they just preferred somebody else, but because they are racists and they have no real culture, and Bad Bunny represents something they hate, culture that they feel doesn't center or include them. Donald Trump was one of the first to start throwing shots, not subtly either. He mocked Bad Bunny, claiming he doesn't even know who Bad Bunny is. And he did that back in September. So fast forward to last week, Donald Trump shared this racist video depicting the Obamas as apes. Watch this bullshit. Just straight up disgusting. Anybody who is a person of color, I don't even know how you support Donald Trump, especially black people supporting Donald Trump. This is what he thinks of you. He wants to blame it on his staff, on his surrogates or whoever is controlling his social media. But that was him through and through. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. Because that just wasn't random. That was a signal. That was a signal of who Donald Trump really is to the people who still don't believe Donald Trump is racist. And it is a signal of what happens when MAGA feels threatened culturally. They retreat to dehumanization, as well as flying off the handle in full meltdown mode. And instead of just dealing with Bad Bunny being the headliner, they did what is most natural for MAGA. They created a spite show. Turning Point USA didn't just complain. They foolishly tried to compete with the Super Bowl halftime show. If you don't like something, make your own out of spite, I guess. This was a full-on MAGA temper tantrum, and they're calling it patriotism. They booked Kid Rock. They marketed it as the all-American halftime show, or whatever the fuck they mediocre asses could come up with. And influencers like Jake Paul hyped it up. And of course he did, because he is a full-tilt MAGA bitch, who I have never liked, by the way. Never. I knew he was a bitch for years now, because I saw him a few years back call one of his fans a terrorist in so many words to this fan's face, just because he was from Kazakhstan. Don't believe me? Watch it.
In there.
Hi.
Man, can you put this on vlog, please?
Yes. Where are you from?
I'm from Kazakhstan originally, but
It sounds like you're just gonna blow someone up.
thank you so much.
You're like, send the nuke.
Were you making a prank over there?
Yeah, we.
Bro, can I just take a picture of it?
This is the same Jake Paul who is now calling Bad Bunny a fake American, all while living in Puerto Rico. You can't make this shit up. Why is it that the right always wants to call people who don't think the same way as them, or who don't support the same people and policies as them, fake Americans, when they're the ones that's been out here storming capitals and shit? They're the ones out here actively installing fascist people. But they want to call people who fight for democracy, the whole thing this country was founded on, you calling those kind of people fake Americans? Y'all are the ones that would be wearing red coats back in the 1700s, not Democrats. When someone tells you who they are, I'm going to say it again. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. Now, I'm going to say this straight up. I didn't understand any lyric from Bad Bunny, and I didn't need to, because music is about energy, movement, and emotion, not just knowing the words. If you want to know the words, maybe learn Spanish. Did you ever think of that matter? I watched it live as it was happening, and the crowd was cheering. The stadium was engaged and energized. And the most important moment of the halftime show was Bad Bunny saying, "God bless America," and then naming all of the countries that make up the Americas. North America, South America, the Caribbean. That's the Americas. But MAGA has convinced itself that America only means the United States. But geographically, culturally, historically, the whole landmass is literally called the Americas. The U.S. is part of North America, along with Canada and Mexico. So his performance wasn't anti-American. It was accurate. And accuracy terrifies people whose worldview depends on exclusion. And the reaction after the show should tell you everything. Donald Trump went racist again. He mocked Bad Bunny's performance, mocked his language, plus mocking his culture. And at this point, I genuinely don't understand how any Hispanic or Latino voter can still support Donald Trump. Because this isn't policy agreement or disagreement. This is straight up disdain for you from him. These MAGA bitches can't stand it when black culture is celebrated. Kendrick Lamar last year, they threw a hissy fit over that. And they can't stand it when Latin culture is celebrated. Bad Bunny this year. And they can't stand anything else that exists outside their little bubble. They always have to be the center of attention. That's what I noticed. Everything must be catered to them. And when it's not, they lash out. So after all that belly aching, posturing, and squawking from MAGA, let's talk numbers. Turning Point's halftime show, it looked like about 200 people had showed up in person. To me, Kid Rock was lip syncing. Like he was just bouncing around the stage like an idiot. He wasn't doing much of nothing. And the whole production to me felt small. Them bitches looked like they was hurting for money. Viewership estimates range from around 3 million to around 10 million views total across platforms. So even if it's at the high end of that, that's still a flop compared to the Super Bowl halftime show. The official, the real one. I want to make sure I get that out there. The real halftime show, because that shit wasn't much of nothing that they was doing. The real official Super Bowl halftime show had over 120 to 150 million viewers. That's not competition. That's obliteration. And the funniest part is, Donald Trump didn't even watch the Turning Point show. Footage came out showing him at one of his little parties. And look who on the screen. Bad Bunny. Now, I want to touch on how elitist is this fucking party he having. I call it elitist because who the fuck watches football like that? Suits and tables. Like a fucking fancy-ass dinner party. Trump can't even cosplay being relatable. Who gets dressed up to watch football? While MAGA was melting down, something really good happened politically for the Democrats. While everyone was distracted, or at least I was distracted, preparing for the Super Bowl, Louisiana, my state, delivered a political gut punch to the Republican. Democrat Chastity Martinez won a Louisiana State House seat, and she had 62% of the vote. That district, Trump won by 13 points in 2024. That's what I like to call momentum. Republicans only have themselves to blame for this because they courted Hispanic voters, then unleashed ICE on them. Their policies alienated working people, and as usual, they turned politics into this culture war. Case in point, the fucking Super Bowl. In their reaction to that. All while not fixing the cost of living. And in many ways, they actually made it worse. And people are voting accordingly. And here in Louisiana, Republicans are already infighting. Attack ads are flying. The Republican Senate primary is messy. And Bill Cassidy, the incumbent senator, is vulnerable. Bill Cassidy is the senator that voted to impeach Donald Trump after January 6th. So the attack ads are now targeting Julia Letlow, who literally just jumped into the race. I don't know if he's done it yet, but I think Trump is supposed to endorse her. So I just want to say for the record, this state is not as red as people think. But in order to win, Democrats must invest here. Stop ignoring the South. Stop running safe candidates, like what people are talking about with the Texas Senate race. Instead of trying to appease Republicans or appeal to Republicans to try to pull them over to our side, which has proven difficult time and time again. I mean, Kamala Harris tried that with Liz Cheney. She even said that she would appoint Liz Cheney or a Republican to her cabinet to try to court Republican voters, and they still voted for Donald Trump. So courting Republicans is not going to do anything. Instead of doing that, we need to figure out why non-voters aren't voting. Because they're eligible, they're here, they're just disengaged. Probably because they believe that their vote don't matter. We have to be there to tell them, yes, it does. And yes, I have ideas on how to do that, but that's a topic for another video. So here's the bottom line. MAGA is melting down over some nonsense as usual. Democrats are winning elections. Their side is a bunch of snowflakes who are perpetually offended, while our side is building momentum. But momentum only matters if people show up. This is Pragmotiv News. I'm Kameron. See y'all next time.